tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are unsupported, and we come from Liverpool.
G'day everybody, welcome to the match debate, and this is a placid match debate. It is not. It's not going to be something that we're going to enjoy doing. We were hoping maybe that we would go through the season without having to talk about a loss. Those draws that we had felt like losses, but now it's the real thing. It's the real deal. This is the match debate, the reaction to Liverpool 2, West Ham 3, or West Ham 3, Liverpool 2. I'm just so depressed. I didn't put a bet on the game. I usually bet on the opposition team. I didn't do it. And you guys can blame me for that. You can blame me for Liverpool failing to get any sort of points from this. Pete, you left your phone upstairs. You had 167 messages on your WhatsApp. What were all those messages saying? Probably...
Well, a couple from Jurgen Klopp.
What was that?
A couple from Jurgen Klopp apologising for his performance.
You know what? He actually messaged us saying, where was the training ground? We had no idea how to break West Ham down.
Yeah, look, I know I apologise for that, but look, the game. Fuck, what can you say about the game? Look, let's be honest. I wasn't one of those people expecting us to go the whole season unbeaten. I'm not one of those unrealistic fucking people who live in the clouds. I was expecting maybe 6-7 losses this season. That's a perfect title, by the way. But I was expecting 6-7 losses this season. You kind of cop that, no problem. What I wasn't expecting was to buckle. Okay, so every game this season that a title rival has dropped points, we've buckled. Every game. So there was a Brentford one, the Brighton one, this one. We've buckled on 3 occasions already in 11 games in terms of catching other people above us. Not just that, we've conceded 8 goals against Brentford, Brighton, and West Ham alone. So, yeah, you know what? If we lose to City, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, for example, you cop it on the chin and you move on. But the games that we've dropped this year, besides obviously the obvious 2, have just been nothing but fucking unforgivable.
Steve, you've got your Champions 19 shirt on. I'm guessing we're just trying to lighten the mood a little bit. Is there any way to lighten the mood, or is it just, as the title says down there, just shite? You watched the game. Actually, we were chatting a lot, you and me.
It was like a lonesome chat, just me and you for once in a game. There was like no one else.
I've seen them before.
I wish I'd have slept through it like some others, because it was just shite. I mean, those 2:30 kickoffs, 3:30 for you guys in Sydney, are never pleasant on a Monday morning when you got work at stupid o'clock. So, but it was shite. The only thing I can say is these results have been shit. The sort of draw with Brighton, the Brentford one, if you look at them like that. But if you look at, I think if someone would have said to me at the beginning of the season, this international break, we'd be 4 points within the top spot and we'd have won our Champions League group, do you know what? I probably would have taken it off the back of last season. But now, sat here having seen those games, it's shite.
I don't mind that, Steve. You know what? I don't mind that. I don't mind that chat. And that's obviously that could get me in hot water if we start looking at things with a little bit more of a positive tone to them. By the way, I really did like Jurgen Klopp. They just zoomed in on him, Nick, and he was just sitting there puzzled, looking at what was going on, and they just stayed on him because I think they wanted to capture what he was going to say, and he just went, "Boys, stay positive." That just seemed to be the thing that he was bellowing out. I'm not sure what there is on the pitch, what the result of not having a positive outlook, how that translates to the football. It must have been that the team didn't really believe that they could do it. But I think the problem is more than that. I mean, it's not a lack of belief. It seems to be a lack of ideas.
I mean, when you consider the actual stats of the game, West Ham had 3 shots on target, 3 goals.
It's like a FIFA game.
Yeah,
It's
we
seriously
had
like a FIFA game.
13 shots and we managed to score twice. And they could have had more goals, actually, come to think of it. But when you've got players committing, I wouldn't say monstrosities on the pitch, but some individual errors, that sort of does tend to move towards okay, something's not right here, whether it's player confidence, which I don't know why it would be. We totted United 5-0. We got through Atletico 2-0. Very tough games. I probably would question, are the players maybe feeling it after the last couple of weeks with the travel and the high-intensity games, or the games with a lot riding on them? And yeah, I did say in last week's match debate, I said I'm not worried about Atletico, I'm more worried about West Ham, and I hate to be that person, but I probably, granted, I had concerns for that. I think Peter also agreed as well with that, because we've seen West Ham play well, they've pulled off a few results, and Moyes has got them working well. They've started on like a house on fire, and now they're sitting in 3rd place above us, and we're not far off the top place, 4 points, but right behind us is Arsenal, 2 points, and we play them next, as Pete said prior to our us going live. So I don't know if it's a positivity or if it's a belief with the guys. Maybe we're at a point where, hey, we've gone and 20 games undefeated, whatever it was, and now that's come to an end again. I think it was, there you go, again, shite. And I think we tied it last week. I think we equaled it last week, 23 games in total, undefeated, and then when we have a chance to break that record, it turns to shite.
It's kind of, I want to ask you this, Pete, because we were talking about this off air. It almost feels like, because there's often the point of get the loss out of the way so that the team isn't afraid of losing anymore. That's what draws. Sometimes a draw can feel like a team that is afraid of losing, and they're kind of sitting there and they're happy with the point. Is there, I don't know, is there any positive to losing a game? Does it get that win off, gets that loss off the chest? It's just kind of like, look, it's done now. Now we can kind of relax. There's no records or anything. Man United used to win the league with 81 points. I'm not saying that that's going to be good enough this season, but, we just lose the game. Don't try and draw our way to the title, and then maybe it'll reset us a little bit.
Again, not when your title rivals drop points 2 weeks in a row and you fail to capitalize 2 weeks in a row. It's as simple as that. It's the players. I have no idea what, but it's almost like a confusion when we defend now. There seems to be a total confusion as what to do when we defend, and that can't be happening when the same team hasn't changed in 5 years. So, like, it's one of them ones that how can we be confused defending? For me, everyone's like sits there and blames the defense all of a sudden. I think that's like the new thing. But I've said it for show after show, week after week after week. The midfield is too far apart in defense, and they get sliced through way, way, way too easily. And it happened again. For the second or the third or whatever it was. The one goal they scored an open play. Yeah, the second goal. So once again, you can blame the defense all you want, but when they have to stop players that aren't their own in their own zones, it's not their fault. You can't blame. You see, for example, Trent was a whipping boy for a long time, and all of a sudden Trent has been defending really, really, really well. So they move on to the next one, and they move on to the next one. How about look at the people in front of these that allow the ball to get there, and then start to look at the game on a bit more of a, instead of being like those, as we said last week, the top red and the look at me, I'm captain positive. Look at it for what it is. It's not. It hasn't been good enough for a few weeks now, and we've been exposed time after time this season. We've been lucky that Mo Salah has been playing like he's in God form. But again, look at Mo Salah wasn't in the best of form against West Ham, and then there was no one else there to help him. Like Mo Salah needs help too. The poor bloke can't score fucking those Watford goals every week.
Yeah, I know. I saw there was a little moment there where he tried to dribble, and he actually got through. He got through quite a few people, and it's the thing that happened where it doesn't matter if he doesn't get the shot off, as long as someone's shadowing him. And I think the ball bounced off to maybe it was Henderson or Thiago or something like that. I can't remember who it was. I want to just very quickly go through the game, and let's just address this thing, the VAR during the game, because I think it gets to a point where you watch a game like this, and it's kind of like I don't even want to bother with the referee stuff. Like you know what it feels like? It feels like was there a game? Was it last season where Newcastle that scored and the VAR called it off, and then they scored again, and Jurgen Klopp, I think in his
it was
post-match,
Newcastle. Newcastle right at the end.
Yeah.
And Jurgen Klopp said, I think that goal was always coming. So that's why I don't like this idea of blaming. Like Klopp kind of did it at the end of the game. He kind of said like, "Oh, I think it could have been a foul or whatever." I don't know if that'll help the result, but also at the same time, I want to simultaneously have a go at the VAR here, but also have a go at Liverpool because this happens every fucking game. Steve, you and I were talking about it. It's just like it happens for the corner as well. All the corners, they've got someone on Alisson, and we set up the exact same way.
Yeah, and we've seen it before when we've come up against Burnley. They scored one directly from the corner. If you put, I'm a massive fan of Alisson, and I love him as a player, and he's saved us so many times. But for me, that first goal, I don't think it's a foul. I think Alisson's just been in there. It's too weak. He should be getting up there and winning that.
100%.
So
100%.
we can blame VAR. The red card or the red card incident, I think that's more of an error. But in terms of that first goal, the blame for me there is on Alisson. He needs to do better. He's not a small bloke. He's got the advantage of the height over the defenders, and he wasn't strong enough or confident enough on it. And they played on that every corner.
Well, this is the thing. It happens every fucking week, though. We have 3 players on our goalkeeper, and then all of our team are looking at the situation. And this is what they're probably thinking. Well, if they're going to commit 3 players to our goalkeeper, we must have a man over. But it's not. It doesn't, like we concede that goal, like you said. Burnley scored straight from a corner as well. I swear someone else has. Someone else has also scored from a corner against us. I wonder if we're like the record for a team that concedes from corners. It's just kind of like that thing that it's like feels like Sunday league, park football where it's kind of like get the player off the goalkeeper. I mean, Nick, does something need to change there? I'll go between you and Pete, but I want to go to you first because I don't know. For me, it just feels like just someone needs to shove him off. Or does Alisson just do a freaking suplex? Did you see that thing in the MLS where someone did the rock bottom? The goalkeeper
Yes,
I've seen that,
bottom?
Dwayne Johnson retweeted it, didn't he?
We're going to get a stone cold stunner on a motherfucker in that box because I tell you what, this is getting ridiculous.
But you got to see he had 3 players surrounding him, and if there's one thing goalkeepers don't like, it's being surrounded because you think that, okay, a goalkeeper's going to have to jump up or reach up and try and grab this ball. And at first I thought, you know what, there's probably a case where he's impeded, he can't get a leap up. But now I'm thinking about it on second hand, I'm like, you know what, he should be judging this ball. He should be at least getting a fist to it, like something, just fingertips, just get it away from the player's head. Ogbonna, I think he scored the first the goal there. But I'm thinking like Alisson, for all that he does, still like that third goal, especially Zuma's header where he just goes into the box and loses his marker and back post. Yes, it's gone right in front of Alisson, but Trent's sitting there just watching it fly over his head, and he turns around and he's like, "Oh, hey Zuma, yeah, please be my guest." It's like, why is Trent on the back post and not on the goal line maybe? Why is there no one tracking him? Surely the tallest player in that box has to be tracking someone who's rummaging around like that. I know you've got like tall players in that West Ham team, but still, you can't let someone like that roam around in the penalty box. Now, as for him being poor, yes, that second goal, especially for me, I think Steve said in our group chat today, a chocolate wrist or something.
Yes.
It went straight through him. You expect him, that's a save and that's gone out for a corner or it's palmed away or something. It's like maybe he reacted too quickly or not. I don't know, man. I don't know what the situation was there, but that third goal especially annoyed me the most because we let a player just run around freely in the box and get one over Alisson. And look, he should have done better with the attempt of the save, but by the time he went through, it's like he just put his hands up and he's gone, playing goals like, I'm going to score a field goal or something in NRL. Not his best game by any stretch of the imagination, but then again, there were a few players in that squad who didn't have some of the best games either.
Yeah, he's not to blame fully. And that third goal there, like, I think they'd got inside Alisson's head because I think 9 times out of 10 in other games, Alisson can even come and claim that corner before he even gets to Zuma's head.
Yep.
I just think, all in all, it was shite, as we've had up a few times. It was a shite game for Alisson, but he's not the scapegoat. That's amongst so many other players that had a poor performance.
Well, I want to try because usually we have a little plan of what we're going to talk about, but I just want to go straight to the comments. This is the people's show, mentioning the rock bottom before. Alisson needs to get into the wrestling ring and learn a couple of finishing moves. Is that right, Pete?
Look, I'll answer your question the way I would know, the way I've seen around goalkeeper coaches and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the time, if the players aren't protecting the goalkeeper, it's because they want the goalkeeper to have the space to run out and catch the ball, because what people forget is that we're a counter-attacking team off our own corners, off defensive corners. So if you're creating Alisson, that means there are players sucked into the space, right? Which means there isn't somebody else somewhere else that can get off. Once Alisson comes out, catches it, and off he goes, bang the other way. I don't think it was a foul. I know a lot of people calling it a foul. I think Alisson was way too casual in his rise, because if you watch it again, he doesn't come up with his knee protecting the ball. Every goalkeeper knows when you come out, your knee comes up, you give yourself half a yard by doing that.
That's basics. You just protect yourself.
And it's also exactly right. It's a protectional thing.
And it's this as
but
well,
he's come
by the
out.
way.
Yeah, but he's come out just
well.
standing up straight, thinking it's going to be a casual catch. And then he complains when there's contact. Listen, at the end of the day, a goalkeeper should never, ever be beaten. Because number one, if I stood next to you, George, if Alisson stood next to anybody and just stand straight, I stand with my hands up, I'm already taller than you as it is. We both jump. I can jump with my hands up in the air and catch the ball. I'm not. We all have Alisson to death. I'm doing my best impression to look like him, but it's one of those things that you can't. He has to just cop that on the chin and clop like whinging like a schoolgirl after the match about it. No, watch it again. There was no way. He should have done better in that first one, and the second one. Going back to what the boy said. I think if you look at his positioning, his landing position was on the ground way too early. I think he dived way too early. That's why it bobbled over his wrist.
Yeah.
If you look at when he lands compared to when the ball was approaching to him, he's already in his landing position. So that's probably why he couldn't get a strong hand to it.
I think that's
a fair
call there. Yeah.
And the third goal, Mane loses Zuma.
So
and
why is Mane
just
on Zuma? That's like, why is Mane on Zuma? He's like twice his size. Why is he on him?
Yeah. But it's going back to that there, George, for you. So that's my honest opinion. And again, it was just piss weak, way too casual, and the way we approached the game was way too casual.
Well, I want to get to the comments, but this is just one thing I wanted to bring up. Just the only time I want to guide this conversation, because I do want to get to the comments, because we've got some comments there about Tsimikas versus Robbo. We've got some comments about Konate, also about Jordan Henderson. Ginny Wijnaldum. We'll get to all that in a second, guys, in the comments. I just want to quickly touch on this. Are we too fucking nice? We had this conversation with Brighton. Liverpool had committed 86 to 87 fouls, same as Brighton. Brighton have 23 yellows. Liverpool have 9. They constantly ask Jurgen Klopp, are you going to do gamesmanship? He goes, no, I don't think that's the way we need to play. I don't think that's the way. And he's been adamant about that. He doesn't want to play that way. Pete?
Steve, I'm sorry, Steve, but what I said in the group chat. If Ox fouls him at halfway, the second goal never comes.
Yeah.
But we're too busy trying to run next to him and be like, oh.
Also Fabinho, though.
Fabinho as well.
Fabinho tries.
Okay.
He misses.
Okay, so this is where I'll jump in there. Fabinho is more than likely to get a second yellow to Ox. So I look at Ox and I think, use your brain there. You're in the moment. You're probably going to get subbed in 10 minutes anyway, which he ended up getting subbed later on. But you be the one. You pull his shirt from the back. Pull his shirt, foul him at halfway. You stop the counterattack, and it's done. Atletico Madrid would have done it. Everyone would have done it. He's got to bring him down there at halfway. Stop being so nice.
Is it a bigger conversation to have about us being too nice? Because it's the other thing. You know what I said? The first thing I said when we conceded that goal, I said, let's go get a corner and let's get on their fucking goalkeeper. And then we get a corner, and what do? We do the remember we used to do the train with Andy Carroll, where everyone's holding each other's shoulders. Look, what are you doing back there, bro? We've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. Have you seen him in training? He tries to score from a corner. Get Virgil on the goalkeeper and put him in a headlock. Put him in the sleeper hold. Crippler crossface. Oh, not allowed to say that move these days. The
Rabid Wolverine.
Yeah, they've forgotten about him. But do something. What does he do? This.
Yeah.
But we can't talk about him. That's actually really bad.
I love that. I love that idea of we've just been fucked by something. Let's see if it works the other way, and let's give the referee a moment, because the referee right now feels bad about that. We didn't even give him a chance to make amends for it. Go into the box and just push the goalkeeper into the goal, and then say to the ref, "What happened? They did it to us." I can't believe we don't do that. Does anyone want to see us do a bit of gamesmanship like that?
Man,
Hell yeah.
we've talked about the mongrel. There's no mongrel in this team. Like, if someone in the chat says Midnight Toka says, "Do what City do, tactical fouls," and you have to. Yeah, Thiago's father El Papi says it as well. Foul him. You have to just get a yellow card. You know you're gonna be taken off soon, anyways, because you know you're Oxlade-Chamberlain. You're not going to complete a whole 90 minutes. Even though you had a great game against Atletico Madrid, I have to say, surprising to see him start this game, to be honest. But then again, we have no options in the midfield. So you're on a counter attack. Give him a tug, sweep at his leg, do something. Just break up the play, because what you think, Virgil's there and Matip's there, or whoever, they're going to save you every single time. Look, they're not invincible. Like, they are great players. They're great defenders, but they can only do so much. And when you've got someone who is a little wily like a Fornals who can get by, and it was a quick little 1-2 pass as well. It was two on one at one point on that counter attack somewhere. It was like one defender and like two players. One ball went through.
Yeah, they had Antonio and Fornal coming through.
Basically 1-on-1, and then he just gets through Allison, and like I said, Allison probably went down a bit too early to try and prevent that goal. But you got to do something. Give him a tug of the shirt. Something has to happen. You can't just let him run free there, because we cop it every single time and we complain. But at least the opposition gets a yellow card or something for it. Or if you're Atletico Madrid,
Klopp says we're not going to sink to that level. He always says that. And
man,
that's kind
fuck
of like
sinking to that
annoying.
level, bro. You want to fucking win games or not?
I know, but this is the problem. This is the problem, is that he says we're not going to sink to that level. And that's the one thing I would say about maybe, the Klopp style of football. I would say, don't think that you're better than a lot of these things, like there's got to be like, I'm a very nice player the way that I play. I'll hold someone's shirt. I'll give them a little tug. I'll, step on their heels, on
Give him
their
a bit of a
shoe.
smile, bit of a wry smile, bit of a wink or something.
So tonight at training, we had training tonight. I just came back, as I was saying before, and we were doing a lot of position-specific training tonight. So I was working with defenders. I was teaching the young defenders about, if people were trying to hold you up, how to, remember what Ramos did to Salah?
Yeah.
Wrestling move.
I was teaching about moving their hands and taking advantage of manipulating their body. And it's not illegal. It's being a bit more of a prick. And we're trying to, you got to understand that, like, we can't sit here and be, oh, you guys are fine. You guys play so well. No. Fucking, like, Ox, I look at that there. That's the first thing I thought of at that moment. I thought foul.
He's going to grab him.
Foul.
Yeah. No.
Okay, 2-0 down. Like, or 2-1 down. Like, fuck me, man. So it's those little bits and pieces about us that really shit me. And, we sit there and complain, like, I just took, like, you look at Klopp the other day. I took Mane off because the Atletico players were diving. Well, of course, they were trying to get rid of him. Like, it's part of the game. Like, it is what it is. And to win a Premier League, you've got to do those little bit extras that the others aren't doing.
Well, I want to move on to this conversation as well, because it was painful to watch in that first half. How many times, and by the way, it was counterattack after counterattack being started by the through balls that Robbo was putting in, because he was crossing the ball back to the edge of the box, and it was like the first few times, but he was doing it every single time. So you're thinking, is this a plan? Because all the other players are not reading the same playbook. He just does not seem to be informed. And the thing that we could have used in this game, Steve, the thing we could have used was just a bit of variance in delivery, because we know Robbo can do, again, I've said this since minute one, Robbo needs Paddock. When we've got this team here that is just absolutely parked against us, someone needs to put their foot on the ball and put the ball in an interesting way onto a head. And right now, that player is Kostas Tsimikas in our side, arguably. So, I don't know. We didn't have Paddock to run into for Robbo. We could have used Tsimikas. He's been in form. We haven't used him.
And that's,
Steve,
go on, Steve. That's a fucking shambles in my eyes, because we've all been saying from pre-season how well Tsimikas started in the pre-season games. Then we get into the first game of the season and we played, was it Norwich first game of the season? He has a good game there. First couple of games he plays well. Obviously, everyone looks back at Robbo and thinks, well, Robbo, the last couple of years, he's this consistent player, he's done that. Judging on his past, great player, but he has not. I think he's had I think there was 1 or 2 games so far this season where we've actually said, that's the Robbo we need to see. But too many times, he's just been shit. He's like a headless chicken when he gets the ball. He can't cross for shit. And if I see him take one more corner, I'm going to fucking lose my shit. So Tsimikas, he has to start. I don't know what more he can do. Every time he comes in, I think he hasn't conceded a goal so far since he's been playing. His
6
delivery,
games, 6 clean sheets, 6 wins.
Yep.
his delivery is unreal, and he doesn't just do the same type of cross every time. It's fucking pinpoint, get him in. Robbo was just doing my head in last night. Every time he just kept going.
Yeah.
And we were doing everything down the left as well.
Yeah, it's that cutback that just went, and then they were on a counter because it's like you couldn't put it in a worse spot because they just pick it up and run with it. It was ridiculous.
I think he did one good. He did the knockback for Mane where he had to take it. Trent put it across the Robbo. Robbo did one touch inside to Mane. He got the shot. And then the only other good thing he did was when he went like his normal, typical, I'm going to go a man on the mission, and he knocked it and he ran the whole length of the pitch. And then he scuffed it off for a fucking goal kick.
Yeah.
And he tried to fucking cross it. And I was like, that sums him up for me.
But it's perfectly said, Steve. Honest to God, Steve, that's fucking. And again, like we're massive. Like again, we're not Robbo haters because I know what people are like. Unfortunately, in today's world, we all love Andy Robertson as you know, as a left back. He's our best left back in how many years? Maybe ever. It's debatable anyway. But the reason why you bought Tsimikas is for cover. It's for the moments where you know what he needs to have a rest. As Klopp said himself 2 years ago, Trent and Robbo can't play every single game. It's not good for their development. Well, he's been shit for a while. Just give him a break. No one's saying sack him and sell him off and you know, good luck to you. What we're saying is, guess what? You need a month off. Just a month, let's say a month, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and give Tsimikas a chance to swim or sink. So, but every time Tsimikas has played, he's been really, really good. So for me, there's a couple of players in that squad that no matter how shit they play, they continue to play. And he's one of them. The other one, I'm not going to start World War III, but let's just say when he makes a mistake and someone else makes the same mistake, the other person gets slammed. And he's been a defensive liability in midfield. Join the
Henderson.
But like, it's one of them.
Go on,
like,
Pete, tell us because we've got a comment here. Someone wants a conversation to be had about Jordan Henderson.
Can I just say that is a great username, Bunda Hunter. I know what that means. I think it's an England thing. That's a great name, by the way.
But no matter what these two do, it's good. I'll just play next week, no problem. But again, Tsimikas, like going back to the story, I don't know. I'll go back to I think it was Thiago's father's comment. What does he have to do? I don't know anymore. I actually don't know anymore because he's got the same amount, if not more, assists than Robert already. The 6 games, 6 wins, 6 clean sheets. And Mane, by the way, okay, here's another one, George, because you're a huge Mane fan. Mane's best games this year, I guarantee it's been Tsimikas when he's playing.
Yeah, I think it's the variety in Tsimikas's game is what's providing just a little bit more. I don't know, especially for someone like Mane. If the defense needs to go and rush Tsimikas because they don't want one of those pinpoint crosses coming in, that's 2 players committed. That's 1 less player for Mane to deal with on the left. You know, so you can even it's not necessarily the delivery; it's the style and the variance in the delivery. When it's, you know, high octane, maybe Man City, maybe we can, you know, use Robertson in those instances, especially if he's on form. But right now, if he's not on form, this has to be Tsimikas territory. I mean, it's kind of anyway. Go on, Nick. Go on.
I was going to say in the pre-match presser, care of James Pearce, Klopp says Costas is very close. He has a lot of quality. He pushes Andy Robertson, but in my eyes, Robbo is the best left back in the world. It's good we have options to give Robbo a rest in moments. Well, fuck, if you didn't see him like midweek, how good he was whipping balls in for Atletico against Atletico Madrid, you know, or did he play against Brighton? I forget who the hell he played against Tsimikas recently. But man, those balls he was whipping
Atletico
in were
Madrid.
just balls whipping in just like perfect, just bang, bang, bang. And then you come and it's like, okay, Robbo, you're up. okay, we know what we're going to expect with Robert. We love his work rate and the way he attacks the game, and he doesn't take no shit from players, and he likes to arc up and give Messi smashes on the head and all that sort of stuff. But man, when you're playing a particular game like this, and crosses need to be pinpoint because West Ham's defense is up there, like they're above us for a reason. They're good at not conceding goals, and they're good at scoring goals. So you need crosses in. And I saw someone else comment earlier on, like, we're putting crosses into Jota, who's like short, and then when Origi's on the pitch, who's a tall player, there's hardly any crosses going into him. Like, I don't understand the logic in that. But when someone like Tsimikas is there,
one of them can head the ball, the other one can't. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. And let's be real, Jota has scored some headed goals, but against the defensive duo like those of West Ham's, don't know if he can actually go there. But balls need to be whipped in, and Trent's fantastic at it. Him and who was I watching the other day? Reece James for Chelsea. Right backs, as far as right backs go, their deliveries are just amazing. Like, I was watching the highlights of Chelsea. I can't believe they drew that game, but just balls whipped in non-stop. And then you go to Robertson, and it's like a potato hitting a soccer ball half the time. It's like he's got a great left foot when it comes to a cutback, but how often have we had cutback moments where we've hit a counter-attack and we've sort of isolated players? He's always whipping balls in, and then either corners, not going past the first post, being collected by the goalkeeper, or just being shit in general. Tsimikas can actually hit the target.
Pete?
George, if I may, with Chris Khan here, by the way,
I wanted to move on to that.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I've seen him comment on our show, so appreciate that. Thank you and welcome. But so this is a topic that I've spoken about in particular quite a bit, whether it's on the training ground, whether it's on our shows. So his first one about Fabinho's performance interests me because Fabinho has been copying a lot, saying he's out of form, he's this, he's that. But when you watch the games, Fabinho is the one who breaks up most of the other people's counterattacks. Unfortunately,
he's got two or three around him. He was great first half.
So unfortunately, he's got two or three people around him. Now, in terms of the tactical issue instead of a personal issue, is something that, again, we have brought up many, many times. For me, I think we have to do what we did against Atletico Madrid and play with a double pivot instead of the single pivot, because the single pivot for me were too spread far wide. That's why if you look in between the two lines of each midfielders, where we keep getting exposed, because there's one here, there's one there, there's one in the middle, and they're just running in between the two lines of there. And for me, Henderson doesn't have those legs anymore to do that kind of that kind of running, and it's evident because his side is often the side he gets exposed more often. Now, again, that's not a Henderson thing. Get over it. But it's one of those things that I think if we do what we did against Atletico, flip to the double pivot, it provides more safety and it allows our fullbacks to get on a bit more as well. And whoever's playing is that 10. Do what you want.
What we've been seeing as well is, at the very least, if it's not a double pivot at where it's immediately noticeable, it's kind of at least when you are playing with the three, one person does come in and acts as the double pivot when it's necessary. Like we noticed that again. I go back to the beginning of the season where it would shift and Elliott started roaming. The only other time we ever see that happen is when James Milner plays, and he's the one that goes forward for some fucked up reason. I don't know why he's getting nosebleeds by going so far up. But yeah, absolutely agree. There is something weird going on. That's why I've put this little banner up here. Midfield balance is way, way off.
It's a big Ginny hole.
Yeah, well, we had a comment about that. It is. It's don't get me started on. We didn't fucking replace the player we got rid of. I mean, we kind of. This is the thing. We had a pseudo double pivot with Ginny because he did so much running, and now we're starting to realize, if you don't have someone who is durable who can do that running, you kind of lose that double pivot, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go about Ginny too much because we've spent ages mentioning it already, and we're only 12 games into the season. But I always said for the last 2 or 3 seasons, people don't appreciate how good Gini Wijnaldum was and the work he did, because a lot of it was off the ball and his pressing and everything like that. It was only when you watch a game, Pete probably spots it first off because he watches games in a very different way to like most of us. I tend to have to watch a game back a second time, and I then start watching the movement of the players off the ball and everything. And it was only when doing that you would see the running and the movement that Ginny would do And I'm not talking about with the ball, I'm talking about without it. And we are missing, I think it's evident now that we are missing that. And it's not that we shouldn't have told Ginny, but we need someone that's going to pick up those same positions and help, like you say, a potential double pivot, because we're so exposed there. It's ridiculous.
Well, this is the thing that I was saying as well. There's been a change, and we noticed this, Pete, where we're obviously Liverpool now, they're still the top scorers in the Premier League. So we've done something with the midfield to help us score more goals. But obviously it's been a little bit lacking in defense. Now, Pete, I want to ask you very quickly, what have you noticed about this midfield very quickly, about what is it doing that might aid us scoring goals? And then how is that having an impact on us conceding goals? It's just those two are very far forward. Is it as simple as that?
It's almost like they've completely forgotten their defensive responsibilities.
Yep.
And because Van Dijk is back, everyone's like, oh, he's back, so he could just mark 15 people on his own.
That's what I see.
It's not the case. It's not the case. Like, I think even Manchester City, who for me are the total footballing team, and they're the best footballing team in the world still. I don't care what anybody says. But if you still watch them in the transitional moments in defense, whether it's Rodri, whether it's Bernardo Silva, whether it's De Bruyne, there's always two, sometimes even three midfielders who are quickly there behind the ball. For us, you look at, you can, again, any moment you can kind of press pause. And I'm the one who's done it 100 times and screenshot it and send it through the group chats. And I'll circle the players. There's an attack going that way, and there's still two or three of our midfielders, that way.
Yeah.
And it's like Fabinho's like that, and there's three or four of them just coming at him. It's now, I agree with that comment. Again, Grizz's comments so far have been, like, for me, like almost like Viagra, because I love this shit, but it's like, it's something that you look at it and you go, okay, it's teething problems. That's fine. And, you know, it is teething problems, but at what cost? At what cost? Because at the moment, teams looking at us and going, we can definitely, I can smell blood. I can smell blood. And if we just flood their middle, we score goals.
No, absolutely. There was something about also, there was a few comments. Was everybody happy, by the way, with the defensive line in terms of who was starting? I mean, we did have Jean Matip come back in. You know, it's really funny that I immediately thought that, is it time to unleash Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk back on the Premier League? And then I heard that he was injured.
He's injured, yeah.
It's just like, well, I guess that's why maybe we shouldn't really rely on the prospect of having Joe Gomez back into the lineup, because he'll just break down at any moment. But I'm assuming, Nick, we were happy generally with the starting 11 in terms of at least the centre back, how it was set up.
I mean, look, effectively you would imagine that it'd be Matip and Van Dijk being the starting centre-back pairing because they've played so well. But Matip probably had one of his worst games in a very, very long time. This morning. Up. Yeah,
Pete knows what I'm talking about. He does this weird step-up thing where he goes out of position and he leaves a big gap right where he's supposed to be, right, Nick?
Yep. That's the thing. It's like playing out like a funny, sort of unrelated but related at the same time. I was at the A-League, the Wanderers fan forum the other night, and the fans were discussing with Reece Williams, our latest defender, like, you know, I don't step up because it's not my job to step up and start the attacks. It's my job to defend, and I can't leave my players behind if I decide to start roaming. Like, who's going to cover me, sort of a thing. So I don't know if Matip's being told by Klopp to, you know, if you get the opportunity, step up, do whatever, because Van Dijk is back there. Again, like I said earlier on, Van Dijk, he's great, but he's not invincible. You know, the guy does have a kryptonite somewhere. He can't defend 2-on-1. You know what I mean? He still needs someone alongside him to give him a hand, and hopefully trying to deter the attacker and make another move that works in our favour. But when you have someone like John Matip just doing his messy thing, going from deep, almost like Daniel Agger in a way, just running forward and then trying to ping a pass through, and when the ball's intercepted, he ain't the quickest player going back. Like, he wants to complain about his sprint speed. Like, fuck, mate, if you can do Usain Bolt and come back in record time, go for it. Go to the goal line and then sprint back if you can. But you can't do that, man. So when he goes his little 10, 15-yard dashes up front, if there is a turnover, Fabinho is probably not the fastest recovery speed as well. Neither is Matip. So if you've got those two there, the tallest players in our squad with the longest legs, you'd think that their leaps would get them there. Unfortunately, they don't half the time. Van Dijk is left alone. If it's Trent, if it's Robbo, if it's Samikas, if it's whoever, that sort of a thing does annoy me in a way, because you can play the ball forward and still hold your line. Going forward, it's great when he does it. We have a laugh. It's a meme. There goes Lionel Matip, the galloping gazelle and the giraffe and whatever bullshit. But, mate, you do it every single week, people start to expect it. They'll see, Matip's running forward. Okay, press. And all you have to do is just press. 2-3 players press forward. He doesn't know what to do. He'll try and force a pass. It goes nowhere. And then, bang, there's a counter-attack.
Well, guys, this is kind of like the moment of, and you'll see the banner. It's kind of a, have a breath and have a think about it and see what can happen from here. We do have the international break. It's another week that play doesn't go on, that Bobby is not available for. I saw a lot of comments in there that we missed Bobby Firmino against West Ham. By the way, I agree with all of that, but does anyone else think that whenever a player's injured, we're missing them? Like when Firmino's playing, everyone's just kind of like, oh, he should be out of the team. And then when he's out of the team injured, all of a sudden now we need Firmino. Anyway, I feel like that happens a little bit too much.
Yeah, Firmino missing wasn't a problem last night. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, but what do we think from this moment? I kind of hinted at it before. Liverpool have got the loss off their chest. I don't know if that frees them a little bit. They can kind of go under the radar a little bit more because we started to become favourites again. And I don't know, Jurgen Klopp loves a little underdog thing. I'm just trying to paint this into a rosier picture. We've seen what happened with Arsenal. They were horrible looking to sack Arteta at the beginning of the season. And then, thanks, Grizz. Thanks for joining us, by the way. Absolutely. We'd love to do some stuff with you soon as well. But yeah, we saw Arsenal struggling at the beginning of the season. 5 wins on the trot or 4 wins on the trot. I don't know if we want to get up our remaining fixtures there, Nick, but there's a chance for Liverpool to kind of grow from this, obviously, right? Isn't that right, Steve? I'll go to you first.
Yeah, there is. If you look at our run of fixtures coming after the international break, then on paper, they're games you're looking at that we should be winning. I mean, the game against Arsenal could be potentially tricky. They're in a run of form now. They've got a bit of confidence. But again, is it just trying to sound positive? Like, it's sort of leaning on what you just said. I hope it's to sort of kick up the arse that we need as a club to sort of, we've had that defeat now. Now we fucking kick in and we just grind out result after result. I mean, look, Arsenal you'd expect us to beat. Well, I hope so, but Champions League is a dead rubber now. Obviously, we've won the group. Southampton. Everton's always just going to be
no one's going to be that.
Especially going to Goodison. They're not in the greatest form.
The Rafa derby.
Rafa's going to be... he doesn't even wear his... Does he wear his glasses still? He does a little hanky and he shines his glasses and cleans them and stuff.
And then Villa in December with Steven Gerrard in charge.
Yeah.
No, I just think we've got to drive on now. We've had this defeat. We just have to. Something's got to change. We've had some great results.
Why is it defeat to slap us when there's been 4 other results that should have been a slap to the face, like giving up a 2-0 lead at home?
Well, you think that'd be enough. And we were that game against Brighton last week, we were fortunate to get away with a draw in that game. They battered us in that second half.
100% correct.
So what do we think, guys, as we kind of wrap up? What do we think needs to, and I ask you guys as well in the comments, what would be the main thing that you would change or that you think Liverpool needs to improve upon moving into this next run of fixtures? We've got the international break, to kind of work on this. We're kind of fortunate that, Fabinho doesn't play for Brazil and Alisson doesn't either. I think they will travel. But, we do have a lot of players, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Thiago, these types of players that don't actually get minutes for their national teams. Ox is not even called up these days. What's the main thing that we need to do? Is it something tactical? Is it something, is it a mindset thing? I mean, by the way, against West Ham, Salah, Mane, Jota, my goodness, they were about 60 meters apart at all times. I don't even think a football pitch is that big. One of them was in the stands. They were so far apart. I don't know. Is there something, I'll start with you, Pete, that you would want to see this side do to change? I mean, you mentioned the double pivot, maybe going to a 4-2-3-1 or even a 4-4-2. That might even be something that could help us.
Going back to what you were saying before with the whole Kanate and everything else, I think we spent the big money on Kanate. Let's play him. Like you look at those kind of games where teams, you look at teams where they want to get in behind and run. What a player to play against then. Like look at Arsenal with Smith Rowe, Aubameyang, and everyone else that they do a lot of running in behind through Pepe. A lot of forward runs, a lot of them from midfield or central positions, by the way, which has been our kryptonite all year or season, I should say. So if people like the speed of Uber and stuff like that, you gotta match it. And if it's not Joe Gomez, you've got to match it with Kanate. Then I mean that's nothing against Matip, but going forward, I'd like to see us tactically pick the place that's suitable to the match. I mean, as much as I'd love to see a midfield three of Henderson, Thiago, and Fabinho, there's not one of them dynamic to help us in attack. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones like it's. We need to. So, for example, if Thiago is going to play Fabinho, excellent. Then maybe play a Curtis Jones and give it a go. Give Henderson a rest, for example. Like it's and play them together. But the one thing I love to see a bit more often is in terms of fixing it. Where do we go from here? The rest defense has to be a lot better.
Just to go to Rizla here, to bat for the positivity merchants.
Has he forgotten last season?
Yeah, I know.
How many games have we lost over the past 3 seasons? Look, I love the positivity, by the way. So I will always give it the time of day. And thanks for joining us because we are saying bye to you now. But love the positivity. But going back to this whole idea of where to LFC
Top
go
red.
from here. Nico, what would you like to see change from this side?
Mate, I don't know. Like we play games pretty well. We know we can be good on the ball. We can counterattack. We can press. We can score goals and all these sorts of things. But it's all good and well if the players are doing their bit. If the players aren't doing their bit, then that all turns to shit. And that's an intentional rhyme there. Look, personnel is an issue. We understand that. The midfielders are out. Firmino is out. January's coming as well. Mane and Salah are out. And you got to think to yourself, okay, what's going to happen here? Look, Origi came on as a sub. Let's be real. He scored a great goal. Okay, you can shit on him all you want, but he's fantastic touch, turn, and a hit, and he's gone in. On another day,
goal.
Yeah, on another
we should
day.
Talk about that goal for a little bit. That was unbelievable.
On another day, that result doesn't happen. Allison doesn't flap in the air. Our defenders don't get exposed. 2-1, and we don't see Zuma just running around, with Mane marking him of all people. I just cannot understand if it's a zonal thing or if it's a man-to-man thing. Like, who decided, Mane's the man to get on him? Like, he can't jump 7 feet in the air. If he could, fair enough.
There's no dynamism in that decision, by the way. I'll go back to you, but it's that idea of, and that's where we have to be reactive. We have to be reactive, we have to be proactive instead of reactive, or even in sometimes actually be reactive, because there are moments where, okay, this is what our set system is. Mane is always on the far post. Well, if they've got 6'3", centre back, leaping into the sky, maybe you should change that player, and maybe it should be Henderson or whatever.
Something's got to change. That's on the defensive side. In the midfield, especially now, when we said we've had our midfielders running forward, I think I said it the other week, our midfielders almost act as though they're attackers only, like they've forgotten how to defend. And even if Fabinho is left behind to defend, or if it's Henderson at the 6 or whoever it is, still, that's probably not enough cover when you've got both your wing backs or fullbacks, whatever you want to call them, almost touching the goal line. What do you have on the recovery end where you got 2 defenders and a defensive mid making it a 3, and then someone's busting the gut to run backwards? I don't think you should overcommit both players. That doesn't always happen, but sometimes we've had turnovers in the games like that. So maybe just knowing when to step forward and when not to step forward. There's this whole thing of like West Ham have a blueprint on how to stop Liverpool. What, overcrowd Alisson and just hope he makes a mistake? Like, is that a blueprint now or something? It might be if Alisson has a frailty.
We've been doing that for years.
That might be something there, but you know, like it's not hard to defend against us. They say put a low block in, defend, you know, like your life depends on it, and jag yourself an equaliser or a late winner or whatever, and you've got yourself a result there, a nice little takeaway. Or you can go toe to toe with us, as we've seen with Brentford. And I'll shout Peter here. Peter mentions that how shit Brentford's form has been since we played them. The Norwich beat them of all fucking teams. So
yeah, well, I mean, we've kind of. It seems like more a mentality thing but there are obviously, I think the main thing that we all want to see, Steve, is midfield changes. But, you know, if you were to pin one thing that you would like to kind of, as we wrap up, kind of, I don't know, what would you like to see after the international break, let's just say?
Look, I'm not pretending that I know more than Klopp or I'm better than him, but I fucking just hope that we start picking players based on their form.
yes,
That's where we need to go. This we mentioned it earlier, so I won't go to it. The whole Simicast debate against Robbo is just ridiculous now. You can see clearly football's a form game. If you've got players that are in form and you've got someone in that same position who isn't in form, you don't keep playing the out of form player hoping he comes back into form. Give Simicast a run of games, and if he has a sort of wobbly patch, then we start bringing Robbo back in. I think Robbo will benefit from the rest. I think we'll benefit from having the informed player playing. And other thing is, I think it was Pete who touched on it a minute ago. Pick the players based on the situation. Like Konate would have been so much better suited for that game yesterday. One, because of his pace, and two, because he's a lot more physical than Matip. You put them corners in, and you've got Konate trying to defend it as well. I don't think they're winning as many headers because they scored from two of them. They hit the bar from another one. As it Dawson hit the bar.
Yep.
I think you got. Matip's got a 50p head, so put Konate there. He's going to go out and win it more than what Matip does. So for me, it's pick your players on form and pick your players based on the opposition. Unless there's something going on that we don't know about, it doesn't make any sense to me at the minute. And by the way, we haven't even mentioned it. As shit as we were, we nearly grabbed the draw with Mane's pathetic header at the end. How does he miss that?
No, I know, yeah, right. It kind of felt like that he could have gone with his.
He could have just volleyed it.
It's the worst thing ever that the defender misses it. Like I feel like that happens to Liverpool a lot as well. Like it's almost like they're expecting the defender to be better than what they are, and they're not, and it goes through them. And there's just got to be a little bit more streetwise. You know who would have scored that? Luis Suarez scores that every day of the week. You know,
you just open your body, cushion it on the inside of your boot into the far corner. Done.
And he celebrates like he's won a Champions League grand final in the last minute of the game as well.
Yeah,
But there's no need to dive there. It's so much more time consuming to dive there. Like you're there. Just stick your leg out. Like why are you trying to do this? And I just don't get it. I did not understand the decision. Like, okay, the first one-on-one that he missed, I get it because that's really difficult. And, you know, either side does go in. But to be fair to him, it's a really difficult position. But that header, man, my God, he did not have to go to ground.
And also shout out to Trent's free kick.
of course. I know. I wanted to talk about all these things as well.
Yeah.
But world-class assist, though, wasn't it? Let's give Salah the credit.
Oh, mate. Stopped it perfectly. Stopped it right on the right blade of grass at the right trajectory, at the right velocity. Is just enough to just ping it. And look, keeper was left.
But it was quite clever because they showed the West Ham wall and how tall it was. And their wall is massive. And all they did is they shifted the ball to the right. So then Trent could curl it above Jared Bowen, or whatever his name is. And because he was the shortest one on the end of the wall.
Clever.
They did it against Chelsea. Same thing. The Mo Salah back heel and Trent Alexander-Arnold scores the free kick. That was a couple of seasons ago. So they've done this a few times with this little back heel. So let's give Salah's assist a little bit more credit. It seems to be the most difficult thing in the world. Only he can do it, apparently. Anyway, guys, make sure to like and subscribe this video. It's been great chatting to you all. It's been cathartic, at least for me. I forgot to talk about the good shit in the game. Actually, look, I should put my rose-tinted sunglasses on a little bit more often. I should be more of a top red. I'm giving us top reds a really bad name, aren't I? But yeah, Liverpool did score 2 really nice goals, by the way. Trent's goal was unbelievable, and Origi, fucking hell, what the hell is wrong with him? I don't understand. Maybe he gets a centre forward starting berth. Is that right, Pete? You're all for him starting?
Yeah, I mean, that was really good to score his first goal in 16 months in the Premier League. And so, yeah, what a way to score it.
These are fucks. Fucks.
But yeah, guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel.
are
Make sure to like the
fucks.
video. Yeah, we'll be back with some more content soon, maybe a red fix, and obviously we're going to get that match. We're going to get that training ground out, because I tell you what, we didn't do the training ground, and Jurgen Klopp didn't watch it, and it seemed to do all sorts for this West Ham game. So we're gonna give him the call. We're gonna let him know we're gonna have another training ground for the next game, which is going to be Arsenal. We're gonna halt their weird form, and we're going to arrest our weird form. It's going to be all put right, in my opinion. This has been the Match Debate. It's been the Red Sea Down Under. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.